Hello and welcome to France 24's Culture Show. I'm Marjorie Hash. International network group Cartooning for Peace is organising a series of exhibitions, workshops and roundtable events here in Paris to celebrate cartoonists and artists from the African continent. The French Institute and the Forum des Images joined forces in order to showcase 12 of Africa's most emblematic artists whose work often goes hand in hand with the freedom of speech. One such artist is Kenya's Gado, Maria Gareth and William Swanson have the details on his incredible career.
Buying Kenya's main newspapers is a daily ritual for Godfrey Mwampembwa. The artist is known more widely as Gado, and he's feared by African leaders for his searing critiques.
You have to be political animal in the sense that you have to follow what is happening not only in Kenya, you have to follow what is happening in the region and also globally.
Gado's drawings tackle the troubles of local politicians as well as international news. He contributes regularly to papers like The Standard.
This is the swearing in of Museveni.
This piece is about the unequal vaccine distribution to Africa. In this one, he criticizes Israel's shelling of Gaza. No topic is off limits.
I have carte blanche. They are obviously tough subjects. They are also sensitive subjects. You know, for example, religious issues are always very touchy. We must find a way of actually discussing difficult issues, and editorial cartoonists have that license, and that's the license that we should protect.
In 2016, he was fired from his former newspaper because of his audacious tone. He's since found a new employer and continues to be inspired by current affairs. Compared to the rest of the region, the press is relatively free in Kenya. On this day, he was making fun of a unionist who just had a street named after him.
The city has a lot of issues, issues with the drainage system and all that. And I'm just proposing that why don't they build a sewage pipe and then name after the guy.
In 2022, Kenya will elect its new president. Local politicians have been warned. Gado will be monitoring it closely.
Now, a marriage of art and artificial intelligence has enabled Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum to recreate part of Rembrandt's masterpiece, The Night Watch. Sections of the painting were cut off from all four sides of the painting in the 18th century and lost. Using scanning methods and machine learning, scientists were able to reconstruct the missing parts as a part of a multi-million-dollar restoration project. Valérie de Kimp has the details.
For the first time in more than 300 years, art lovers will get to admire a Rembrandt masterpiece with a fresh perspective. As The Night Watch, the artist's biggest painting, just got a little bit bigger. The portrait of Amsterdam's civil militia was created in 1642 before parts of the canvas were trimmed off 70 years later.
It was moved to the town hall, and there it had to fit in between two doors. It didn't fit. So the people who moved it decided to cut it, and really took scissors and just cut on all four sides.
Now, thanks to artificial intelligence, scientists have reconstructed the missing frames. As reference, the Rijksmuseum had a small replica painted at the time, before the trimming, but the perspective was distorted and the colors didn't match. That's when scientists began training a computer to recreate the edges pixel by pixel. The images were then printed and mounted on the sides of the original painting.
This is the final result. What you can see here is that if I show you the Night Watch currently ends here at the back of his helmet. So everything to the left of this is the reconstruction.
The newly enlarged version will be on display for 3 months, giving visitors a glimpse of what had been lost for centuries.
History lovers and tourists rejoice. As you may remember, 10 years ago, the ancient city of Pompeii was falling into disrepair and its archaeological marvels were at risk. But thanks to EU funding, the site has been preserved for generations to come.
It was first discovered more than 250 years ago, but the lost city of Pompeii still has secrets to reveal.
Un quart de la ville reste encore enseveli. Pompéi présente les caractères typiques des cités antiques avec son forum.
Due to the pandemic, there's only a handful of tourists visiting.
On a beaucoup de chance vis-à-vis du monde, puisqu'il n'y a personne en période de Covid. Et je pense que c'est remarquable, un site qui est incroyable.
In 2012, the EU and the Italian government created an €100 million renovation fund, with the main aim of securing the areas that have already been excavated, such as this rare two-story structure.
Non si riusciva neanche ad entrare all'interno dell'atrio. Siamo riusciti con un intervento di riconfigurazione delle coperture a restituire la complessità della casa.
Dozens of these houses are now once again open to the public. Recently, some of the funding has been spent on uncovering new details like these mosaics. But much of the city still remains under 5 meters of sediment. Archaeologists are still uncovering new marvels. This fresco shows lovers from Greek mythology. Leda, the queen of Sparta, and Zeus disguised as a swan.
Trovare questo affresco con un tema così anche fortemente sensuale in questo ambiente ha un senso, perché siamo in una stanza da letto, quindi in un cubiculum, quindi uno degli ambienti più privati della casa.
In this house, volcanic rocks have been kept on display as a way of explaining to visitors the catastrophe that unfolded here. There are still 23 hectares of the city to explore, but the site's director is positive about its progress.
Cambiato totalmente l'immagine di Pompei, che era sinonimo di problemi, di crolli, e oggi, grazie al grande progetto Pompei, è un simbolo del rilancio, della rinascita e della buona gestione dei fondi.
With Italy's borders now open to tourists from several countries, visitors will soon be flocking back to Pompeii to discover its ancient marvels for themselves.
Now over to some modern-day architecture, and this time in the south of France. Star architect Franck Gehry, who famously designed Paris's Louis Vuitton Foundation or Los Angeles' Walt Disney Concert Hall, has unveiled his latest building, the Luma Tower in Arles. The structure has a glittering facade meant to evoke Van Gogh's painting Starry Night. Ellen Gainsford has been following this.
This latest construction from star American architect Franck Gehry is now part of the horizon in the southern French city of Arles. The building's facade is made out of 11,000 inox bricks, specifically designed to reflect the light.
Sometimes the building will be blue, sometimes it'll be pink, it'll be yellow, orange, silver, obviously. The fact that they're set at angles makes each of the panels a different color, have the capacity of being a different color too.
The building's interior houses an exhibition space. It's filled with paintings and sculptures from well-known artists. Owner Maya Hoffman tapped into her personal collection, with the aim of making Arles the new capital of contemporary art.
We can produce or welcome cultural products, which we couldn't have before, because there wasn't the right spaces which were available. But now we have the spaces which allow us to speak to MoMA, to the Tate, or the Pompidou Center.
It took 7 years of construction and €150 million to reinvent this former industrial center. The structure is reminiscent of Franck Gehry's other well-known buildings, like the Guggenheim in Bilbao or the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris.
There's a concrete structure and a sort of metal skeleton or exoskeleton underneath. Then there are metal cogs that create the cabin. These 3 elements join together in the center.
The Luma Tower has a library and an archive center, as well as a restaurant. And now it's open to the public.
And staying in the southern French city, after a fallow year for the festival in 2020, Arles is back with its typically international and varied selection of photography. As always, there are retrospectives focusing on one artist. For example, we have the work of Pieter Hugo and his arresting frontal portraits. There are also themes, group shows, which bring together imagery that evokes social, cultural and regional phenomena, masculinities. Feature works from Richard Avedon, Laurie Anderson and Wolfgang Tillmans, amongst others. Here's more from curator Alona Pardo.
Touching on themes of queer identity, the black body, power and patriarchy, the perception of men by women, heteronormative stereotypes, hegemonic masculinity and the family. The works in the exhibition present masculinity as an unfixed performative identity shaped by cultural and social forces.
Well, that's it for today's edition of Encore. Remember, you can find all our culture news on our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, so feel free to go and follow us. And there's more news coming up on France 24 in just a few minutes, which gives us enough time to enjoy more of the photos on show at this year's Rencontre d'Arles, taken during Sudan's Touareg Revolution, which saw the toppling of longtime leader Omar al-Bashir in the spring of 2019. Now, the photos were captured by Sudan's new generation of photographers aged between 19 and 30.